Someone asked me, he said, what's your message? That is to say, what do you preach? What do you teach? What's your niche? And I answered him, I preach and I teach relationship and relationship management. From the gaze in his eyes, I could tell that he did not understand when I said that I teach and I preach relationship and relationship management. And that is exactly what I want to talk about. The dimensions of relationship and relationship management, which is my niche. I want you to understand it and understand it clearly, right? I want you to understand this. Everything in life is interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent. Nothing and no one is supposed and can exist in isolation. This should tell you the importance of relationship. Everything in life, terrestrial and celestial, it's all about relationship. So when I talk about relationship, I'm not just talking about that nuptial, that connubial. I'm not talking about what that erotic thing that exists between the man and the woman. No, relationship, is far beyond that. And I need you to understand that if there is one thing that is under attack, if there is one major thing that is under attack to bring humanity down, is relationship. Relationship is under attack. So stay with me. Let me expand on these ideas. I trust that you don't mind. What's on your mind when you continue to hear the word sheep in all of these words? What do you make of it? When you hear the word leadership, when you hear the word worship, when you hear the word fellowship, membership, courtship, partnership, friendship, right? When you hear all of this, what actually is on your mind? Why do you think the word sheep, right, is attached to describe the connectivity or the connection of people? When you talk about worship, you're talking about God and man, man and God. When you talk about leadership, you are talking about direction, one's giving direction to others to follow. When you talk about membership, you're talking about people coming together, right? When you talk about fellowship, you're talking about people in a spiritual activity together, doing things together, right? When you talk about courtship, you're talking about two individuals trying to understand themselves to be able to progress into a possible nuptial relationship in the future. When you talk about partnership, you talk about two people coming together, for business, venture, enterprise. When you talk about friendship, you're talking about two individuals that decide, to stick together, be together, help one another, right? And when you talk about relationship, it is a general word that puts all of them together. Did you get that? When you talk about relationship, so worship isn't it, fellowship, partnership, courtship, all of them are in relationship. Relationship is under attack. The devil knows that if he can attack human relationship, if he can attack relationship, he can destroy humanity. And then I realized that the only way that I would be able to make my little contribution to the universal human condition, I must then deal with the idea of relationship and relationship management. If we know how to manage our relationship with God, if we know what relationship with God means and how to manage that relationship, if we know what relationship with our friends are and how to manage that relationship, if we know how business partnership relationship, if we know what it is and how to manage it, if we know what relationship in courtship means and how to manage it, if we understand these various types of relationship and know how to manage them, I tell you the truth, the entire crisis of humanity will be solved. The entire crisis of humanity would be solved. So when I say that relationship is under attack, I need you to understand. According to the passages of the scripture, as you read through the book of Genesis, and you look at how the fall of man actually began, you'll realize that the Bible made us to understand that God had created man and placed him in the Garden of Eden upon the face of the earth, to tend the garden. But the Bible then told us that the devil beguiled the woman. When you look at the entire, scenario, you look at the scene, how the devil came in and all of that. What did the devil succeeded in doing? He succeeded in bringing a disconnection, in the relationship that man had with God. What the devil succeeded in attacking was the relationship that man had with God. And from what we understand, as there is no any other text that is able to give us any superior understanding to the human situation, what we understand from biblical presentation, historic presentation, this resulted to the fall of man. The moment the devil was able to establish that disconnection, that dissonance, that discord between God and man failed from grace. The glory departed. So come to think of it, why is it so easy to wreck humanity by simply attacking relationship? Why is it so easy? Remember I told you when I started that everything is interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent, right? Any disconnect, dichotomy, or dissonance in the nexus of existence will automatically plunge humanity into moral confusion, intellectual anarchy, and spiritual despair. And this in turn translates to death, misery, and confusion. This is evident in most of our lives and even among people within the phase of our influence. So as I strive to talk about the spiritual path, promise, and paradise which God offers humanity through His Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, otherwise known popularly by Christians as Jesus Christ, I find it more interesting and meaningful to transport this message through the vehicle of relationship. Let's keep it simple. If our relationship with God is understood and managed, most of us will not be having the crisis of life, feeling lost and forgotten, the way we are feeling. We will not be having this crisis of life if only we can understand relationship and manage them. So please allow me to say to you that the entire message of the gospel is about relationship. The entire message of the gospel is about relationship. So it says in Revelation 3:20, it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." This was the Bible speaking. It said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." Jesus, that behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hears my voice and open the door, that I will come in and share meals with him as friends. This is God, speaking to you. This is Jesus, you understand, calling you into relationship. Say, come, let's be friends. I am standing at the door of your heart and I am knocking. If you hear my voice and you open your heart, I will come in. He's not going to force his way in. As you know, relationship is a choice, right? Relationship is a choice. God will not force his way in. I will not force my way in. You can force your way in. We all have to make up our mind, in this relationship business. So if we understand that relationship is a choice, this is where now it is resting on us to make every single effort, to make the best possible effort to make relationships work, right? Your relationship with God, make it work. Your relationship with your friends, family, do your best to make it work, because that is exactly what the devil is aiming and attacking. Make it work. Make relationship work. Yes, make relationship work.